The reason why I started this company, the reason why we're making all these awesome alcohols, the reason why we've attracted such an awesome group of members and people working with us, it's all because I believe in a change that's taking place right now, and that we live in a very ripe time, and that there are a lot of progressive things happening that will alter the world forever and will never let it be the same as it was before. And it's exciting for me because not only are we living in a time where this is happening, but we're living in a time where we can participate in that story. And so that is what I've been trying to do here with Fruitcraft. What is our story? If we have the ability to grow to be a gigantic company, if we are the first to market in all these marketplaces with a lot of these awesome alcohol products, what would that look like? What does that mean for a company that can be that large? What kind of impact could we have? What is our part in this story of making the world right again? And so, on one level here, I want us to understand what your part is, how you can participate, and really it's summed up in raising a glass to good. We don't need to really overcomplicate it. It just means when you spend money with us, when you tell your friends, you're making a difference. We're becoming more successful, and because of that, we're having a larger impact with our profits. But really it is how we're using those profits that I would love to convey to you right now, because it is actually the entire plan itself. The way we change the world, the way we have an impact, it's because of what profits are by their very definition. Profits are surplus. They are left over after an organization has produced products, sold those products, and they've made their cash flows work the way they do every single year. Profits are what's left over, which means by its very nature, it's what we can use to make a difference. And the best way that we've found to make a difference is, instead of just giving profits to charity full on, it's better to start sustainable enterprises whose profits will be always given to charity throughout the lifetime of that company. The difference is planting one tree, the other is planting hundreds of trees and letting the fruit from those trees multiply. The core of this is going to be helmed by the sister nonprofit we're just now in the process of forming. And it is very much so something I'm excited about, because it is, I guess, my brainchild. It's something I've been working on for 3 or 4 years. And it's what I call the School of Social Value. And the concept of social value is really straightforward. It is using those profits for others, right? Instead of profits being for me as the founder, I could have made this business do my bidding, and I could have been its king, and it could have been serving my interests. But that's not what would make me happy. It's not what the marketplace wants. That's not where the world is going. So let's not go in that direction. Instead, let's look at having social value, creating social value with our profits. And so what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be taking our profits, putting it into this, what is an incubator, so that other people in our community, just like yourself, can start companies so that they are community owned and that they are giving their profits forward to the next generation, to the next people who would also like to start community owned enterprises. When you do the math on this, it gets really exciting, because it takes the startup level growth that we've seen with all these tech companies and all these disruptors, and it aligns consumer interests so that they are collectively saying we'd prefer companies to act like this and not like that. And since we're the ones who are in the demand position of supply and demand, what we say goes. All of this is a fantastic way of looking at our agency and our power to affect change in the world. We're not as powerless as we think we are. That is, unless we're isolated and we're on our own and we don't actually have community to help us coalesce, to help us have collective power. And that's what it means for us to be better together. It essentially looks at the unity metrics. How is it that, if we have 300 million people in the United States, how is it that we can't affect change across the world? But we can if we do it collectively, if we put our brain power together, our money together, our will together, so that we are rebuilding instead of destroying. that's a big part of what I'd like to accomplish in the world. I'd like business to not have any destructive outcomes at all. And so all of this might be really encapsulated in meetings I'm announcing and continuing to move forward on, which is meetings we're having on Sundays. And they're going to be intermittent. Sometimes we have a private party and I'd like to have the money from that event. But other times we'll be scheduling well in advance meetings around subject matters so that we can engage our community and we can collectively make a difference. And a lot of this comes down to decision making. I'm not trying to hoard all of the power in this company. I'm trying to let go of that, give it to you, give it to the staff, allow for good decision making to be spread out everywhere, and the productive work to not be slowed down by bottlenecked, autocratic decision making. So all that to say, essentially, the School of Social Value is the home for that meeting as well. The School of Social Value has a job. It's to incubate these companies. It's to make them successful. But we make them successful by having consumers who want to buy from those types of companies. And so the big mission, the first mover in this whole equation and what the school is tasked with also doing outside of just launching companies, it's educating consumers to start buying consciously, to start being educated in their buying decisions, and to inform them about how big of a difference it is to buy from a community-owned organization than it is when someone's wealth is being concentrated, when all these laborers are doing all the work and they're actually not participating in the value that they're so instrumental in helping create. So the dynamics, once again, are consumer driven. We need to educate all of us and to get us into positions where we can say, I'd prefer these alternatives. And it's also to do so with founders of companies so that they're saying we want to start companies with these values. But then it's also with laborers. And so, education is a big part of that, letting laborers know that what kind of power they have, especially as unions are becoming a thing of the past. This type of business model actually does make unions obsolete because employees are owners. They don't need the help of some union to fight the ownership. They themselves are in the position of authority, position of control. And then lastly, investors. It's a huge part of what I believe the financial system wanted from us as they took those types of things outside of any normal curriculum we'd have in high school or even middle school, let alone college. If we were educated in how investment works and how the growth cycles of companies interplay to our performance as investors in the portfolios that we have, we would come to very different conclusions about where to put our money. We would put it into local companies and we would put it into companies that have growth on the horizon. We would not be diversifying our investments into mature companies that have already pretty much grown as much as they possibly can. And the best way for them to continue growing is by absorbing and buying other small companies because they've lost the ability to innovate themselves. So the fourfold mission of the School of Social Value is to help migrate the consciousness of all four of these constituents: founders, investors, consumers, and employees and laborers, so that we together can create a more inclusive economy, one that is summed up in being better together. So, thanks for bearing with me as I continue to share my vision for Fruitcraft, which is also the vision for the School of Social Value. Please reach out so that I can hear from you and let me know that you care about this content, that you're excited about this movement, and that you want to participate in whatever ways that you're willing to. My email address is straightforward. It's Alan, ALAN, @fruitcraft.com. Hit me up on it. I will respond to your email. If I don't, it might have gone to spam, so try to hit me up again. But I want to hear from you all because for me, this is all about the interplay between your role, my role, and the broader story that's taking place. And I really do hope to find people who want to participate in Fruitcraft's role as well. Thanks for staying tuned. We'll catch you next time. And always remember to do good and to share with others. Until then.